This is TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And the State of the Saints podcast is brought to you by Manscaped.com. Over 2 million men worldwide choose Manscaped for all their below-the-waist needs. For those that love the Lawnmower 3.0, well, I got news for you. The Manscaped engineering team has confirmed that they have successfully created the Lawnmower 4.0. The Lawnmower 4.0 gives you the ability to turn the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shave. The new trimmer even allows you to customize your trim all through additional guards lengths, sizes 1 through 4. And looks-wise, it's sleek with a two-tone matte and gloss finish, even features a hot foil stamp, black chrome Manscaped logo. Show your more off loud and proud. Go to manscaped.com, use the promo code State of Saints, and you will save 20% off of the Lawnmower 4.0 as well as other Manscaped items. That's manscaped.com. Hey, what's going on, Hudak Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. Thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. And on this edition, we have a special guest with us on the State of the Saints podcast. She is a contributor. She's a contributor with Saints Wire, and you can also catch her on the Sports Hangover on ESPN Radio NOLA, as well as the Hudak Confessional with my guy, Deuce Wenham and Ross Jackson. And she has the most appropriate name to cover New Orleans Saints and be a Saints fan, none other than Maddy Hudak. Maddy, what's going on?
I'm good. I really enjoyed that little intro. The shy tuttle stiff arm. I'm really glad that was in there.
Hey, look, you can't cover Saints highlights and not have that shy tuttle stiff arm on there. But thank you so much for being a part of the State of the Saints podcast. And before we even ask you any questions, okay, the name Hudak, how many times do people mention your last name when they talk about the New Orleans Saints? Do you get that all the time?
Yeah, so I went to Tulane University actually for college, and I remember going one of their like informative meetings and saying, you know, my name's Maddy Hudak, and them kind of looking at me like, what? So yeah, it's like really serendipitous, if you will. This random Slovakian name from my dad that happens to. A lot of people don't know how to pronounce it, and that's why I have it in my bio. Yeah, it is Hudak.
Yeah, I mean, because even before the show, I asked you, I'm like, is it Hudak? Like, it's so appropriate, like the irony of all this. But anyway, but once again, thank you so much, and I'm ready to talk New Orleans Saints with you. And let's just go ahead and talk about the main storyline. David Onyemata, he comes out last week. He posted on Instagram. He talks about he had a banned substance in his body, and it cost him 6 games. He's going to be suspended for 6 games. Of course, we know how important David Onyemata was as far as the interior lineman. He definitely has emerged to be one of those top guys at that position. What's your opinion on this David Onyemata suspension, and how is this going to affect the Saints?
So to me, at least, you know, kind of what it looked like from his story was that there's some type of supplement that he didn't know, you know, what was in it. And I do think that is kind of like a larger discussion for another day of like, you know, what all of these substances are that people are putting in their bodies and these odd, you know, drug tests and what goes off on them. But obviously that was really unideal. Honestly, if it was a defensive end, it would be a different story. But it being a defensive tackle, the Saints let Sheldon Rankins walk in free agency and then traded Malcolm Brown away to the Jacksonville Jaguars. And so that just kind of leaves at that point Shai Tuttle and Malcolm Roach, who were, contributors in that rotation last season with David Onyemata. But I believe the intent was eventually to move Tuttle to nose tackle. So that might be a little bit changed. And then they also do have Jalen Dalton as well, who was on the Chicago Bears for a while. I really like, actually, Tano Passignon, if I'm saying that correctly. I think it would be prudent for them to bring someone in as a free agent. And, Cincinnati's Geno Atkins was just cleared to start making visits with teams. It wouldn't surprise me at all if at minimum they bring him in for a visit just to have that depth. But Passignon, Andy Reid kind of drafts similar to Sean Payton, in my opinion, really looking for like that length and the size in those linemen and not really going for those tweener types. And they put him in a lot of different positions from his rookie season on. He's played special teams. He's blocked 2 punts, which is pretty incredible. He's played 3 tech and nickel packages. He's lined up a defensive tackle, and they've kind of used him as an outside linebacker on the line. But having that type of versatility in that type of position, to me, it almost seemed like adding him was a little bit of a crowded field in the defensive end scheme of things. So I always kind of had this inkling that they were going to kind of try and see, just kind of like how they like to see, Andres Pede at center they thought they were going to move him to guard, and then, Cesar Ruiz is likely going to stay there. They like that versatility. So I think Passignon could kind of be a sneaky help out here, but it's definitely a hit. It's not what you want to see, especially when, that cornerback position is still a little bit of a question mark because Marshawn Lattimore might, face some discipline from the NFL as well. And then that leaves Paulson Adebo and Patrick Robinson. So it's a question of spending, they're about $10 million in cap space on who.
Yeah. I mean, David Onyemata, he just came from a long way. He was a guy who had raw talent, and Ryan Nielsen, the defensive line coach, has done an outstanding job helping him develop as a player. And he really came into his own last season. And like you just mentioned, that was one of the main reasons why they decided not to bring back Sheldon Rankins, because of Onyemata's success on the interior line. But it's just such a huge blow. The Saints, we know they don't allow a lot of 100-yard rushes. I think the first time in like 2 years was against the Philadelphia Eagles. So
yeah, it was.
Yeah, so they really do a really good job in the interior lineman. And when you lose somebody like Malcolm Brown to the Jags, and it was such a huge blow. But they have some very good young athletic talent. And you mentioned, they're extremely versatile. Passignon, Peyton Turner also plays some interior linemen. So, they'll be able to fix it. But, it's definitely a huge blow. And, Maddy, you also just mentioned Marshawn Lattimore, number 1 corner. He's in contract negotiations right now, about getting that big payday. We see guys like Xavier Howard get a big payday. So, in your opinion, once again, Marshawn Lattimore possibly missing some games. What do you think about this, and how can the Saints weather this storm, especially since we are still trying to answer that question, who's going to be the number 2 corner?
Yeah, so you brought up the Hudak confessional. We kind of did some, looking into people that had been charged with similar types of offenses in the past in the NFL with respect to Marshawn Lattimore. Right. And again, just to be noted, he hasn't been convicted or found guilty of anything, but those suspensions were about 2 games, and those were for like actually discharging firearms. So it's one of those things where as a Saints fan, you're a little nervous just because it seems when the punishments come, they really come. Like we got that kind of egregious violations for the locker room celebrations when the Broncos and the Steelers did the same thing, and then the Broncos lost their quarterback room. But I'm really high on Paulson Adebo. I spoke with he's a defensive back trainer a couple of months ago. His name's Clay Mack, and he's actually worked with CD Deuce and Marshawn Lattimore. And so instead of playing last season, Adebo opted out, and he went and kind of spent the entire year just kind of working with Clay Mack. He's known him since high school. They're both from Texas. He was actually one of the calls that David Shaw made from Stanford to Clay Mack. And so they kind of just went out there and were like, why did your stock kind of drop because the year before that he was touted as, the best person coming out of the draft outside of Jeff Okudah and Mel Kiper's, mock. And yeah, he had kind of an off season, but to go from that to maybe a 3rd round pick, it was a little mystifying. So, they worked on a lot of things. I think that the fundamentals and the technique are really there. Yeah. And for Saints people, that in that secondary, that's really important. But I do worry about if there isn't someone there and even if it's Marshawn Lattimore is able to start week 1, it's still a lot of pressure to put on a young defensive back that hasn't really, played since 2019. Right. So I think it's worth exploring potential options. I know a lot of people have brought up Xavier Howard, and then Stephon Gilmore has, kind of expressed a little wanting to get out of New England. So that would be something that would be perfect because you almost don't want to bring in someone, too young because then I'm not sure what kind of message that might send to, a Tebow and Lattimore. Whereas if you bring in someone like Gilmore, that's kind of like Janoris Jenkins 2.0 to me, where it's a veteran pro that's ready to step in. Right. But yeah, this makes it really difficult because it almost seems like a given that they would go out and find a cornerback. And now I think they might have to take some pause here. I don't know if Kai Harley can work any more cat magic to kind of make any more space. If there's a will, there's certainly a way with him. But yeah, I think now there's just some tough decisions they have to make.
Yeah. I mean, look, I look at Paulson Adebo. The reason I feel like his stock had dropped, Maddie, was because the Pac-12, I think the decision of them, are they going to play a season? Are they not going to play a season? And then, he didn't want to play that waiting game. And when they finally decided, okay, we're going to play, he already just said, I'm just going to go ahead and phone it in. And then also he was injured. And I think that had a lot to do with it as well. This guy, to me, I don't know. He just seems like a special player. I know he's a football savant. Like, if you listen to his interviews, the way that he can dissect football, I don't think that it's going to be hard for him to transition from the college to the pros. And he carries himself with this level of confidence that you normally would see guys 4 or 5 years into their career. So that's why I can kind of see maybe a 2017 draft pick, reincarnated when it comes to him. We knew Lattimore was going to be good. I mean, he just exceeded expectations his rookie season. I feel it's kind of the same way with Paulson Adebo. A 3rd round pick, that easily could have been a 1st round talent, a diamond in the rough. I think that the Saints are waiting. I feel like that's one of the main reasons they're not picking anybody up. They want to go into training camp and see if they do have that diamond in the rough. And if they do, then that's less money you have to pay. And maybe the guy or a certain position that's probably not up to snuff, you can go out there and maybe spend your money at that position, maybe linebacker, maybe an interior lineman or something like that. But I'm very high on Paulson Adebo. I think the sky's the limit for this guy. And I'm interested to see how he's going to perform in training camp because, I mean, that guy's extremely confident. Speaking of confident, let's talk about Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston seems like he got his swag back. His confidence is on an all-time high. We're watching some of these videos of him slinging the football to Traquan Smith as well as some other Saints player, and it is getting the Who Dat Nation excited. But, of course, Sean Payton comes out and says it's still a competition, okay? Everything that we're seeing right now is still a competition. In your honest opinion, do you feel like this is lip service that is coming from Sean Payton? Is this really a quarterback competition, or is this, Jameis job to lose?
So I last year did kind of I have a psychology background, so I'm kind of a research junkie, and I looked kind of at the historical trends of replacing franchise quarterbacks and people that kind of did it too early versus too late, and the ultimate Bill Walsh saying the year early is usually the best approach unless you're Green Bay doing it a second time and doing it the way that they are. But I had kind of come to the conclusion at the end of that all the trends and everything, if I'm just looking at this from a pure, eye check perspective, I think that people were a little too quick to count Taysom Hill out of this race. I don't think it's lip service. I think that if Jameis Winston already had the job locked up, and that's kind of what was coming out there in the media, to me, why dispel that narrative? Why do that? Because frankly, if I'm Jameis Winston and I've been told, the starting role is locked up, and then Mickey Loomis and Sean Payton are both out there saying, no, it isn't, then I would kind of, feel some type of way. Like, why not? And delaying that kind of, and I think people overemphasize like how he'll have to like reinvent the offense, because he's been using Taysom Hill in the offense for the last couple of seasons. So to me, replacing someone like Drew Brees to not do due diligence would just be imprudent to me. I think that Jameis Winston offers a much higher, I think he has more qualities like right off the bat in terms of kind of being able to emulate Drew Brees, but there's also something to be said about that offense being designed, for the paramount pocket passer with the pinpoint accuracy of Drew Brees. Right. And that's a very high bar for Jameis Winston to live up to. And, the turnover thing everyone brings up, and Taysom does have the fumbling issue. But yeah, to me, I think that it's open until we get any inclination otherwise. And at minimum, I think training camp will be very illuminating, seeing what the snap counts look like. But I think both of them will get, sufficient time in the preseason game. And yeah, I see them letting this process play out, and I think they should.
Yeah. Do you think that we're becoming prisoners of the moment? Like, okay, let's look at Jameis, right? Like I mentioned, there's video out here. There's him throwing 60-yard bombs down the field to Tre'Quan Smith. But we're not seeing the same thing when it comes to Taysom Hill. So do you feel like we're becoming prisoners of the moment based on us falling in love with the video footage, and there's nothing that's being shown about Taysom Hill? Do you think that plays a role about how we as fans look at this competition?
Yeah, and I actually really like that phrase, kind of like the prisoners of the moment. I've actually said that quite a few times, that, if we were only paying attention to social media, it's already locked up, But Taysom Hill seems like a quieter person to me. He kind of reminds me of Drew, where they're quiet leaders. And from what I've heard, Taysom has also been working out with the receivers, but you also have to remember that Taysom has been here for a while. He's been working with these receivers for a while. What Taysom really needs to work on, and he's been, very candid about this, is his fundamentals. To me, Jameis needs to learn the chemistry with the receivers, because he was ultimately only been there for a year. They didn't have an offseason last season, and he was splitting snaps with Drew and Taysom. Whereas he really needs to start, kind of finding what receivers he gels with and getting that chemistry. Whereas like Taysom has mentioned, he's working on his throwing mechanics, setting his release quicker. A couple of the habits he picked up when he was learning other positions pretty much, and how that negatively affected his quarterbacking role. But I do think that, yeah, it is very enticing to see those 60-yard bombs, especially when we haven't seen them in a while, and, kind of missing those old days. But, that's, like you said, they're really nice videos and they get you excited. But to me, I need to see it when there's actually, a defensive line and there's pressure, and like, what does he do under pressure? Because we all know he can throw. We all know he can sling it. I mean, he threw for 5,000 yards. He was, the number one overall pick. He can clearly, throw a football, but can he make decisions under pressure that don't result in turnovers? And that's a question for both of them, quite honestly.
Yeah. Well, final question about Taysom Hill. Do you think that if Taysom Hill does not win this quarterback competition, should he go throughout the rest of his career embracing that Swiss Army knife role? I mean, because I think about like, okay, if he doesn't become a quarterback, he goes somewhere else, somebody might not be able to use him the way Sean Payton does, right? Sean Payton can bring him into the game even if he's not the starting quarterback and utilizes his strengths. If he was to go somewhere else, who knows that coach? Maybe he's defensive minded. He doesn't have that offensive coordinator that can put him in position to succeed. So should Taysom Hill embrace that Swiss Army knife role for the, duration of his career?
Yeah. And I think it kind of goes underrated at this point, like giving Sean Payton credit for really what he's done with Taysom Hill. He was on the practice squad of Green Bay. Sean Payton went to go see a receiver, and then he saw him throwing. He's like, wait, who is that? And then has kind of like, it's almost kind of like how Patrick Mahomes has kind of like transcended the quarterback position and Alvin Kamara, the running back role. He's like transcended like the football role. And I agree with you. I think that if he doesn't win the starting role, Sean Payton has given him, as much of a chance as he could at that point to be the starting quarterback. And I think it would be, I'm not sure kind of, what market he would garner at that point, because everyone would just say, if he can't win it in New Orleans under Sean Payton, then there's no way he's ever going to be a starting quarterback elsewhere. I'm curious as to see what they would do. I think it would be in Taysom's best interest, and I think he knows that, to stay in New Orleans with Sean Payton, because here's the thing, too, to me. I don't think that this switch might happen, right away, or should it, but just because one of them wins the starting role, in my opinion, doesn't mean that they can't lose it. And
good point.
And I also, Drew actually did an interview with Good Morning America earlier, where he even said, if Jameis does win the role, I think that actually Taysom will get more snaps at quarterback than he did when I was there. So I think they really will like employ him more in that, because they know at the end of the day, they're not swapping out Drew Brees. Yeah. So you could also see that thing where, to me, if I'm Taysom Hill, it's kind of like Jimmy Garoppolo and the 49ers. It's kind of not the same, but it is, like, in that he's kind of playing an audition right now, in that Trey Lance will take over, but he's, going to probably be the starter for the next season. And it's only in his best interest to do well. If Taysom goes in on those snaps and makes really smart decisions, and he ends up kind of, becoming a better quarterback, I just wouldn't leave it out of the question, if things are not going well for whoever the presumed starter is, that they do make that switch. Right.
Well, I look at his age, right? He's 31 years old. And I just feel like he's never I'm just giving my honest opinion. I just feel like he will never be in a situation like this, no matter what team he goes to. The stars are really aligned for him to, make some really good money. How many backup quarterbacks make $21 million? We talk about Chase Daniel making $14 million, but this guy is a backup quarterback who can come into the game, and it's not like you're just sitting over there holding the clipboard. You're actually like fully involved. There were so many games where Taysom Hill actually helped the Saints win. I can think one game in particular. It was the game against the Chargers on Monday night. The Saints late in the game. Drew Brees was cooking, right? And I think all of us were like, man, why are they taking Drew out the game? Sean puts in Taysom. Taysom scores the touchdown, and that forced the game to go into overtime. So I don't feel like he will ever be in a situation. Not to mention, you got guys out there right now that are trying to be that Swiss Army roll. He got Tim Tebow back into the league. You got Tommy Stevens out there for the Carolina Panthers.
Ironically, all coming from Sean Payton. And actually, Sean Payton asked Tim Tebow a couple of years ago if he would be a tight end, and he said no.
Yes.
And now he is. So.
So look, Taysom Hill has created a lane for himself. And I just feel like, based on his age, and based on this situation, I just feel he would never get an opportunity like that. And if he goes to another team, let's just say, for example, if he does go up in here and he starts cooking, he goes to another team, I still feel like he will be on a short leash based on his age, based on the fact that he's not particularly that coach's guy. It would be more like just a signing. So you're always going to have that young guy that everybody's probably looking at behind the scenes to come in to take your spot. With the Saints, I feel like everybody loves him. His teammates love him. Sean loves him. The fans love him. And you're going to continue to be successful because Sean is going to continuously put you in positions to succeed. So, that's just my opinion. I understand he wants to be a quarterback, but you can still play quarterback and make money and have a longevity in the league. It's a win-win.
Here's my thing is, if Taysom wins the role, that means that he's the better quarterback, in a very simplified way. And I've seen the argument of, he's so much better in this Swiss Army role. But if he wins the job, then that means he's the better quarterback for the Saints at this time. And I would rather have him in the most important position on the field than – and I think a lot of the criticism came from that 4-game stretch. You almost wish that he didn't play those 4 games, because it really, in my opinion, just hardened this perception on him not being an NFL quarterback. But what was very apparent to me was you brought up kind of the games where he's really made a difference for the Saints. I will always think about the Vikings game, the Minnesota game in 2019, where he just literally drugged the team kicking and screaming down the field and took total control. He was like in his absolute best making decisions. He threw an excellent ball to Deontay Harris. But when you saw him in that 4-game stretch, everyone was waiting for him to kind of be that mobile quarterback, and it was a lot of pocket passing. And I think that he has spent so much time with Drew Brees and trying to learn to him. And it almost to me seemed like he was trying to emulate him to a fault rather than trying to like lean on his own strengths. And people kind of complain that, he didn't really use Alvin Kamara that much and stuff like that. But I did find this video. I shared it on Twitter a couple weeks ago, but during the Falcons game, when Taysom was quarterback, they had run this play where it was a run option and Tommy Lee Lewis kind of ran this misdirection. And then Alvin Kamara was kind of the fake. And then Taysom took it. Josh Hill blocked and they got, 7 yards. Alvin Kamara at halftime went up to Sean Payton and was like, I like that play. We should run it again, but I take the ball this time. And he scored a touchdown. So, Drew threw a lot of checkdowns to Alvin Kamara, and Alvin Kamara did great things with those. But I think, again, Taysom was so focused on trying to make those really good throws and prove that he's a quarterback. But you just put him back there next to Alvin Kamara, and which one's going to take it? That's as much confusion as you can give another team. So I think there is a lot of potential with the Taysom Hill offense. I'm really curious. I'm really glad that training camp is starting in a couple weeks because we haven't had OTAs now in 2 years for the Saints. So we've never actually seen Jameis Winston in practice, quite honestly.
Yeah. I mean, no doubt about it. I mean, 2019, you mentioned, I can remember having the State of the Saints podcast after that game where they lost to the Vikings. And it was call after call, comment after comment. Man, why the Saints didn't keep Taysom Hill in the game? My goodness, and now we fast forward and it's like he's not the best option. And I'm not even like based in, my opinion. I just feel like, to me, I feel like Jameis is the better quarterback when it comes to like certain skill sets. But when it comes to Taysom Hill, me personally, I just feel like he would be better in that Swiss Army role. I do fall into that category. But I want to say this about Taysom Hill. I think that he is a difference maker, and I think that he is a much better quarterback than people give him credit for. I mean, he completed 70% of his passes, but there's this old saying: it's better to be the man after the man than a man. The man after the man after the man than to be the man after the man, being the successor. And when you are coming into a game, when you are the great one, arguably the greatest quarterback of all time, is hurt. And everybody will going to compare you. Every pass you make, every decision you make, they're going to base that on Drew Brees. I can understand being uptight. I can understand about not calling formations the right way. I mean, because the only thing you're thinking about, you're thinking about executing, but at the same time, you're thinking about, I don't want to make this mistake because Drew wouldn't have made this mistake. I want to throw this. I want to wait for this play to develop because Drew will do that. And I just feel like if he wants a opportunity if he wants to really show the world that he can be a good quarterback, he has to do it his way. You got to be Frank Sinatra. You got to do it your way. So so he got to go out there. He can't think about Drew. He can't think about what would Drew do. He got to do what Taysom does. And I just feel like if he wants to make this a competition, he has to get that thought out of his head. But I'm not going to base my judgment on him on 4 games because I can understand that. But I mean, there's an all season. You got time to develop. Drew isn't coming back. They already said it's a competition. So I mean, it's your opportunity to go out there and perform. The final question I have for you, they had the power rankings come out, and they were talking about some of the top teams in the NFC, and the Saints were ranked number 7. They were actually behind the 49ers, who were struggled last season, as well as the Dallas Cowboys. Okay. Do you think that the New Orleans Saints, minus Drew Brees, still have an opportunity to be one of the best teams in the NFC?
Listen, here's the thing with San Francisco is I'll give them that last season was like someone put a voodoo hex on somebody because they had no ability to compete last season. But the Cowboys, I mean, come on. Yeah, Dak Prescott. But I mean, when you don't have a general manager and you don't draft an O-line and you let your number one cornerback walk and then you don't draft one and you instead draft an upteenth wide receiver, it's going to be difficult to replace Drew Brees. Absolutely. And I think it's oversimplified to say, well, they went, 8 or 9-1, whichever it was, without him, because to me, that was the rest of the team also kind of rising to the occasion. But in that same note, to me, it's less important who ends up being the quarterback. Mm-hmm. And I think it's more up to the team as a whole. And Sean kind of alluded to that in a recent interview he did. I don't remember where it was, but kind of said something about it's not really about the offense or about the defense. It's about kind of everything. To me, that really signified how I've kind of felt about this is expecting his successor to come in and meet and or exceed expectations is just putting way too much pressure on him. And I really appreciated what you just kind of had said about Taysom. I feel like there is a sports psychology element that everyone loves to discount. And I'm, a psychology background, and it's just, to me, absurd to completely throw that out. But I don't know. I mean, it's Sean Payton. It's this, Jeff Ireland and their draft process. And they have excellent coach staff. Like you said before, Brian Nielsen, Hodges, all of them, and Chris Richard now working with those younger defensive backs. Mm-hmm. Zach Strief now coming in to work with the offensive line. Yeah. I think if the team elevates itself and rises to the occasion, then it shouldn't be that much of a downhill from, what they were before. But to me, again, I really think it's up to the rest of the team to recognize that. And I think that they really will once training camp starts. And once it kind of hits them that Drew's gone. Right.
Yeah. I think that the Saints can be one of those teams, and I'm happy, Maddie. I'm happy they're flying under the radar because sometimes I just feel like when the Saints have certain expectations, they, it kind of gets to them at times. So flying under that radar, if they do emerge as being one of the best teams in the league, they'll embrace that whole 2017 Philadelphia Eagles mentality, that underdog mentality. And sometimes when you have that mentality, you start playing for the guy next to you. I mean, it can turn into a magical season. But I'm looking forward to seeing what the New Orleans Saints can do this season. And also looking forward to your contributions on Hudak Confessional, as well as ESPN or Radio NOLA every Tuesday. But before you go, let everybody know how they can get in touch with you on social media. Sure.
So Twitter, it's probably the best place to find me, and that would be Maddy Hudak _94. And then I mean, if you want to follow me on Instagram, I don't really post that much, but I am at Return of the Mads. So.
Well, thank you so much for being a part of the State of the Saints podcast, Maddie.
Fun.
Like I said, once again, one of the most appropriate names to follow and also to cover the New Orleans Saints, Maddy Hudak. Thank you so much, and looking forward to hear from you in the future. Okay, you take it easy.
Yeah, you too. All right, cool.
All right, take care. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Maddy Hudak. Shouts out to her. You can catch her once again, ESPN Radio NOLA every Tuesday, and also on a Hudak Confessional with Deuce Wenham and Ross Jackson. Man, she's also a contributor. You can check some of our articles out on the Saints Wire. So, yeah, man, I think that the Saints are going to be a really good team this season. I think that the New Orleans Saints are going to be one of those teams that fly under the radar, but they have they have a recipe to be extremely successful. They really do. And I'm just happy about it because, I mean, look, when they do start winning and they do start balling out, then everybody in a Hudak Nation are going to make sure that those people hear about it. I think the Saints are going to be really, really good. All right, let's see. But feel free to put your comments down below. Thank y'all so much for being a part of the State of the Saints podcast. Go ahead and hit that like button, man, if you enjoyed the State of the Saints podcast. And I want to give a special shout out to the chat, man. I also want to give a special shout out to this clown that I seen that was in the comments. Normally, I don't do stuff like this, but apparently this guy, no matter how many times I block him, he makes another profile. For some apparent reason, he up here, wants to talk about the individuals that I bring on the show, and he says things like, I'm bringing up, people, certain people that look a certain way on the show, and basically referred to me as bowing down to massa. First off, man, look, get your life together. This is radio. This is broadcasting. We all, like contribute to, like the success of, doing podcasts, writing articles. And when you're looking at an article, like it doesn't matter what a person looks like. If a person has something to take, have a certain take about a team, doesn't matter what that person looks like. I just think that is absolutely pathetic that people have so much time on their freaking hands that they continuously try to downgrade individuals. But I will say this, I must be extremely talented and I must be extremely good at what I do, that a person creates, YouTube profile after YouTube profiles to tell me about myself. So you have individuals that, comments and say all these different things about me, but yet they still watch. I really don't understand that. If I don't like somebody, I'm not gonna support what they do. If I have a certain opinion about somebody, I'm not gonna watch what they do. But imagine, I thank God for giving me this ability that people can dislike me so much, but yet they still watch. I mean, I just don't understand it. But for the people up here that's talking about race and all that kind of stuff there, please, I would prefer for you not to check out the State of the Saints podcast, because I'm going to bring individuals on the show. I don't care what they look like. If they have something to say, if they can contribute to this show, I'm going to put them on here. You don't have to watch this show. You don't have to watch the State of the Saints podcast. I can care less if you do. And like I said, I mean, normally I don't go that route. I just, and that person got blocked. And of course, I'm pretty sure he's going to make another profile to come back again. So I'm going to give him what he wants. I'm going to give him what he wants just for the day. And after this, we ain't going to talk about him no more. So I would appreciate, if you don't like what I do, if you don't care for the content, don't watch the State of the Saints podcast. I mean, it's just as simple as that, so that's all I got to say. But back to the comments. TJ, I just got off the phone with Kenneth Williams at Jackson State. Looks like we'll be bringing Fix to JSU. Well, that's great, man. Shouts out to my guy, Kenneth Williams. You know what I'm saying? Like, that'll be great, man. That'll definitely be great, man. Going back to, to my alma mater, man. And just let me know the date, man. Just let me know the date. And I'll make sure, I plug that. Who is TJ talking about? I don't know, man. It's some guy, for when, I don't know. It just seems like when I interview people that are opposite color as me, he constantly goes into the comments and talk about, saying that, I'm bowing down to massa, or I always got like that, what I'm saying? Like just basically racial comments, what I'm saying? So I don't know. Like I blocked this guy like at least 6-7 times, and he just constantly makes profiles to say this. But once again, probably a person, that's miserable with their lives, but I just felt like that needed to be said. And I don't know if he just wanted to constantly say this to, me to give him, attention. And, I gave it to him and he won't get any more ever again. So I hope it was worth it. And you can put that comment as many times as you want to in there. I'm just going to continue to block you or not pay attention to what you're talking about, but it's amazing, man. It's amazing how people tell me how much they don't like the show. And I say, don't watch. And they'll say stuff like, oh, I'm going to watch to tell you who you really are. Like, huh? Like, what kind of sense does that make? Who watches a show? You know what I'm saying? Like I could just imagine somebody watching the State of the Saints podcast or listening, scowling, like, because here's the thing, man. When I first started the State of the Saints podcast, you had a lot of individuals who didn't feel like the show would be what it is. And you had people, oh, you just think, you know what I'm saying, you ain't never, gonna do this, you ain't never gonna do that. And then all of a sudden, like, when we start to like become successful as a show, and I say we because it's us, you know what I'm saying, the people that make this show who it is, now they're mad. They're mad because they didn't expect the State of the Saints podcast to be what it is. They didn't expect the State of the Saints podcast to be, you know what I'm saying, to grow the way that it had. And they're mad at it. But here's the thing. If you don't like the show, once again, don't watch. And if you feel like you can do better, start your own podcast. That's the thing. If I'm not doing it the way that you like, you can start your own podcast. You can go to Guitar Center. You can go to Best buy yourself a mic. They're about $40. Get yourself a webcam and have at it. And then you can have your own show. You can create your own lane. I just don't understand this. I don't understand why people take the time out to try to discredit other people or try to bring them down, because you can't, man. You can't bring me down. You can't. You know what I'm saying? I'm too blessed and highly favored. I got a beautiful wife that loves me. I got an incredible son. I got family, you know what I'm saying, that support me. I got the Hudak Nation behind me. Can't stop me, man. And shouts out to Maddy Hudak for being a part of the State of the Saints podcast. I really do appreciate that. I mean, there's nothing anybody can do. I'm here now. Like, I'm here. There's nothing you can do about it. There's two things you can do about it. Nothing and like it, period. I can't stand ignorance. Yeah. Oh, hell no, name this clown. I didn't even see his name, to be honest with you. As soon as I seen a comment, I blocked him. Like I said, he just every time I block him, he comes up with a different name, and he says the same thing, which shows like how pathetic it is. All I gotta say is Hudak, right? I almost said it. If I would have ended the show after the interview, I would have said all I gotta say is Hudak. But shouts out to Maddy, man. Very informative, man. Like, great interview right there. TJ, you just good at what you do. Don't worry about the haters. Haters are going to hate. It's not so much I'm concerned about them. I'm really not. But it's just the fact that, just constantly like creating this profile. Like, man, you got too much time on your hand. And what do people expect individuals to do? Like, if they see like these comments, do they expect like a person to say, well, you know what, man, let me pack up this mic, let me get rid of this webcam, and let me go sit on the couch somewhere and don't do nothing because my life is miserable as this person is saying that it is. I don't get it. Like, you're not going to stop. Like the Bible says, for I know the plan that I have for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you understand? Like, God has a plan for all of us. Okay. I don't know if people are religious, but it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? For I know the plans I have for you. That's what it says. You know what I'm saying? Like the plan that God has in your life, there's not a hater. There's not a person that can discredit you if God is for you, period. If you work towards anything that you do and you do it to the best of your ability, there's not a human being out there that can stop you. So let them talk, let them write hateful things, because anytime, like, and I've been there, I ain't gonna even like hate on anybody, because I was like that. When I was in the darkest parts of my life, I used to be like those people. You know what I'm saying? Because I was so angry. And instead of me like just looking at the fact that, man, you know what, I can be doing something constructive with my life too. Instead, I was just so miserable at the time. I wanted to make that person feel as miserable as me. So I'm not acting like I'm holier than thou. And I'm not going to sit up here and pretend like I haven't done this. But I'm just saying, when you have purpose, when something is, if it's an anointing, there's nobody that can stop you, folks, period. No matter what you want to do in your life. So, I mean, I've been there, but like I said, I was just miserable. So I can understand why people write the things that they do because they're miserable. But it's not going to stop anything. Just like I've learned that it didn't stop anything. TJ, your channel too big not to have moderators. What do you mean as far as moderators? Why would I need a moderator? You know what I'm saying? Like, look, here's the thing. I can see on the right-hand side of the screen everybody's comments or whatever like that. I can look and see if somebody's saying something negative or anything like that. You know, so I really don't need a moderator. And then, you know, I just feel like I'm a man of the people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to feel like, you know, I don't know. I just feel like I'm just, you know, try to be. I don't think I really need all that. If it gets to that point where I just really feel like I need one, then I'll get a moderator. But I don't feel like I need one. I really don't. Not at this time, at least. I mean, but who knows? Maybe down the line. We ain't tripping, TJ. We ain't seeing negativity. Nah. Hudak for life. Man, can you imagine? The t-shirts that Maddy can sell, man. You know, Hudak Nation. All I gotta say is Hudak, man. Man, that's a marketer's dream right there. Maddy can sell some merchandise with a name like that. The man's daddy must have not given him the attention he needed. Be encouraged, TJ. Yeah, I mean, look, like I already said, man, I got a beautiful wife. You know what I'm saying? I got a wonderful son. Yeah, I got family that love me. You know, I got a wonderful show. Like, come on, man. I just interviewed the voice of the freaking Saints last week. I just interviewed Mike Hoss. You know what I'm saying? Somebody that I used to grow up watching. You know what I'm saying? Like, used to look at this dude like almost one of my childhood heroes. And you think I'm about to sit up here with the negativity? Are you kidding me? You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Man, stop it. Like, do you understand that? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you know how dark my life was at the beginning? You know what I'm saying? At the beginning, a couple of years ago. You know what I'm saying? I told y'all about that on the Richard Sherman episode. Some of y'all probably remember what I'm talking about. Do you think that that's going to stop me from doing anything? Seriously. Like, I was in the darkest point in my life. So person ain't gonna stop me. Like, come on, man. Josh, thank you for the $2. Says Hudak to my SOT to guest family. Yeah, man. Shouts out to the Hudak Nation, the SOTS family. Who waste their time to be mad at what they're doing? I have absolutely no idea. I don't. Sad though, but they have individuals like that. But like I said, I mean, I've been there, but I just know it don't accomplish anything. My motto on social media is I refuse to argue with someone I don't know and will never meet. And that's the thing too. You know, when a person like online tells you about yourself, like, you never met me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you never met me. You don't know how I run my day-to-day life. I remember one person told me, I don't even have to know you and I know you. Like, huh? Like, how is that possible? Like, you don't know how I interact with people. You don't know what's in my heart. Like, we based our opinions on people on 200 plus characters. You know what I'm saying? Or like some stance on social media. I tell people all the time, when you think you know a person, and don't really do your due diligence, you're probably robbing yourself out of creating relationships with somebody. How many of us probably lost out on a friend that probably will hold us down, or a relationship with somebody that, you know what I'm saying, we needed because we had like this idea about what a person actually or who they are. Like, that's ridiculous, man. Take the time to learn about people. And I feel like, you know, that's one of the issues that I have with social media. I feel like it basically robs us from really creating relationships, and it also turns us into cowards. Y'all remember them days, man? And I know I'm probably gonna lose with this example. But do you remember growing up as a kid, my fellas? You remember when you liked a girl in school? You remember those days when you had to build up enough confidence to walk over to that girl and ask her for a phone number, because it wasn't like, oh man, I'm gonna hit up on social media, I'm gonna find out her first and last name, and then I'm gonna slide into her DMs. It wasn't none of that, right? You have to literally buck yourself up, as we say in New Orleans, buck yourself up, walk over to that girl and say, hey, how you doing? My name is such and such. Can I get your phone number? And hopefully, you know what I'm saying, she'll write it down on a piece of paper. You remember how good you felt if you did get that phone number? Because you felt like you accomplished something. You overcame your fear. Social media has turned a lot of people into cowards, and they give these people this false sense of reality. Straight up. You know, like that's one thing that we have to get away from. You have people who base their opinions or feel like their credibility or their comments are validated by a person who has a blue check mark by their name. I see this all the time. Like if I'm having a conversation, somebody will go and find somebody with a blue check mark and say, well, such and such said this. So that person's opinion isn't, you know what I'm saying, don't mean nothing. Because what that person does every single day. Look, I'm the host of the State of Saints podcast. You know what I'm saying? You got so many Saints people that follow the team. If you're a fan of the team, like, you have credibility too. Don't mean that, oh, I ain't got no check mark by the name, means that person's opinion isn't, you know what I'm saying, is more valid than mine. So, you know, like we create this false sense of reality, you know what I'm saying, with social media. Building up, you know what I'm saying, like, I remember, man, it just turns us into cowards, man. You know, that's the reason why we feel like we can say things about people that we would never, ever say to a person's face. You know, like, you're not going to say this stuff to me in my face. You're not going to say some of the things you say to some of these athletes in their face. You're not. So if you're not going to say it to their face, then why say it on social media? Because it gives you a false sense of reality. That's why. People like that are really fans. Just like LeBron haters, TJ, they tune into every game and everything he does. They need to tear people down to feel better about their own mediocrity. That's a good point. We like people to win, but not win too much. We like to see people succeed, but not succeed too much. You know, my mom gave me some really good advice. You know, she said, like, when you start to grow and you have people that probably followed you, like when you were going through that process, when you start to elevate, they feel like you're ascending, but you're leaving them on the ground. So to bring you back down to earth, they feel like they got to discredit you or bring you down. And, you know, it's sad, but that's just the way the world works. Look, so your thing, they talked about Jesus. Well, I'm definitely not comparing myself to that, you know, but yeah, that's a good point. They talked about him. He did everything right. I don't do everything right. But it's not going to stop me from, you know, and it shouldn't stop you, whatever you got going on too. Israeli sports analysts on ESPN, Fox Sports 1, who bowed down to Massa, they sell their souls for $1. Well, I can't really speak for those individuals. I just feel like it's sad if that's the route that they go. I'd rather just do it the right way, you know. That's why, you know, I take a lot of pride in doing this show. And I take a lot of pride at where we started, you know, because I don't feel like I ever like sold myself short. I don't feel like we ever sold ourselves short. I just feel like we're just a bunch of passionate Saints fans. And, you know, we turned this show into something positive. And I don't feel like you got to go that route. You know, so that's why somebody asked me about, I can't remember who it was, but a caller asked me, you know, do I see myself working for ESPN or where do I see this show going? Like, man, I see this show like being one of the, you know, the go-to shows for the Saints. And I don't feel like I have to be embedded with ESPN or Fox Sports 1 in order for that to happen. You know, I want to create this show. I want to create my own media network, and I want to help people that started in an apartment closet just like me, you know what I'm saying, like doing shows or starting in little small areas that's secluded and, and help them build something. That's what I want. It's not so much about trying to get somebody else money, or working with somebody else. Like what's the point of doing that? You know what I'm saying? When you can build your own thing. Like I ain't gotta work, I ain't gotta work for ESPN. I can be Bristol, right? You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have to like incorporate yourself with other people. You can start your own thing. You can build your own lane. Sometimes it's good to think outside of the box. Some of us like, man, if I do this, then somebody else will come on. But like you can create your own lane for yourself. You can create your own lane, man. It's like straight up. And I hope, like, I understand, like, we supposed to be talking Saints football, but y'all know every now and then, the conversation goes into a different direction. And hopefully, like, somebody out there that's on the fence about starting something, hopefully this can encourage you to do it. Like, all it takes is a made-up mind and get it started. And you can start right now, whatever you have going on. Like, don't look for other people to validate you. Validate yourself. If you're happy with what you're doing, then do it, because you're going to need those days. You're going to need those days when it feels like you're all alone. And the only thing that's going to keep you comfort is that passion and that love that you have for whatever you're doing. Remember that, folks. Phil says, hey, TJ, what up with these undercover Saints fan bandwagon jumpers? They throw out bad comments on the Saints and act like they didn't say it. That's why we keep receipts, Phil. That's why we keep receipts, man. He sounds like the type to bring a knife to a gunfight. DeWine says, that's how you know you made it. The devil worries about guys tough as angels. DeWine, that's a good point. And that's a good statement right there. That's amen, TJ. God's words is true. Yep. The fact is they keep making profiles is funny. That's a lot of work to tell you that you're not good. I need a hater like that too. They had one guy, like I was going, like I had my Unity shirt on, right? So shouts out to my wife, man. My wife bought me that shirt on Father's Day. She bought me this cool shirt that says Unity. Y'all probably seen me wear it on the show before. And I just so happened to have that, to wear a shirt. And I posted on Instagram, and the guy, responds, oh, you talk about unity, but you always talking about race. I'm like, huh? What are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Apparently, I brought up the comment about people, some people, and this is true. Some people have their reservations about Jameis Winston based on the color of his skin. Now, there's not everybody, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not putting it out there and saying everybody has this issue, but there are some people that have their reservations that still come with this mind frame, like a black quarterback is not a thinker. So the guy, I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? That's how I responded to him. So that, and then all of a sudden he talks about comments about Drew Brees and this, and I just kindly responded to him and said, stop watching. And you know what his response was? That's all you got to say? So apparently he wanted me to go back and forth with him. And I realized that. So I was like, nah, I don't want to contribute to this. And I got off got off the conversation. So you have individuals out there that's going to try to, discredit you. They're going to try to spin certain things that you're saying. And they take what you say out of context, or they do what, shouts out to my college professor, Dr. Mark G. Henderson, taught me. They do a lot of pseudo listening. Pseudo listening is when you take out certain parts of a complete sentence and you just make it into what you want it to be. But, but that's what people do, but you don't give individuals that type of energy and power over you, because if you contribute to that nonsense, they're going to want to, try to tear you down or whatever like that. I'll be ripping them. I'll send that fool some fart emails if you like. And thank you for the $2. But look, we good over here, man. We happy. We happy over here. Nikayla says, I love y'all. Shouts out to Nikayla. Love you too. Pammy says, amen. Shouts out to Inevitable. Always coming through with the You know what I'm saying? The good advice. And you see, hard to have a battle of wits with a nitwit. Man, straight up. That's a good point. Gigatis, thank you very much for the $10. Says some people seek attention no matter if it's positive or negative attention. They are missing something inside. However, please know that you are much appreciated. And I appreciate you all. You know, like I said, man, there was a time in my life where those type of comments, I would feed into it and it would bring me down. You know, I mean, I ain't gonna act like I'm one of the strongest people in the world when it comes to that. I'm human. You know what I'm saying? When you work hard at something and you know, you try to build something, sometimes those comments can hurt because you wonder to yourself, like, what did I do to that person? You know what I'm saying? Or, you know, why is this person having these type of opinions? And, you know, my wife she tell me all the time, she's like, why you do this to yourself? She's like, why you pay attention to these negative comments? And you know, after that, you know, I just try to find, you know, I try to find reasons what took a person to type or say some of the things that they say. And it has to be that they're hurting inside. We got a lot of hurt people online, man. A lot. They got a lot of people out there that are upset. Sometimes, you know, people feel like, oh man, I know I can do a better job than him or her, or what makes them so different? What makes them so special? You know, I can see it, TJ. Hudak merchandise. Yeah. Yeah, definitely going to tell Maddy that. Definitely going to tell her, like, you need to sell some merchandise. Hudak Nation. Come on, man. That shirt alone can make sales. I mean, just the perfect name to cover the team, man. Unbelievable. They must be ignored, or they hook you into addressing them, which is what they want. Yeah, you know, that's one of the main reasons why, for the exception of this show, you know, I don't, you know. But we'll see though. If you need attention, go make a TikTok video and bust it. Gotta be a Falcon fan. I don't know what the problem is. I see you as a guest on ESPN next, debating the Saints. I mean, that would be fun. You know, I think I need to do more guest interviews. Shouts out to Aaron. I'll be on this show this week. I want to say I'm going to be on the Forever I Love Atlanta podcast again. I want to say I'm gonna be on there with Keen Don. I think that's Friday. But yeah, man, I mean, I want to do more interviews, you know. I wish people actually call me, and, you know, sometimes, you know, I'll be like, man, I got something to say too. You know, I like to go on like after further review or off the bench with my guy Tebow. You know, I love to go on shows like that, but I guess you got to keep working. But I love interviewing people. I love interviewing people. I love that. You know what I'm saying? I like to get different perspectives, and I like to ask questions, you know, and stuff like that, man. I enjoyed it. TJ, all your interviews be on point. That Jameis one-on-one was real. Yeah, that was one of my favorite interviews right there. You know, I don't really I'll tell y'all a little secret, man. I really don't go back and take a look at too much of what I do or listen to what I do as much. I don't know, man. It's just funny hearing myself speak, you know, like when I'm in a car or something like that. And let's just say, for example, if I pre-record like the broadcast on 90.9 and I'm riding in the car, like I'm always like super critical of myself, right? And you know, I have to, you know, I mean, of course I have to listen from time to time because, you know, you try to, you know, okay, I should ask that question, or maybe I need to stop saying this, or maybe I need to deliver this better. But anyway, Jameis one-on-one, I think that was one of my favorite interviews right there. You know, I mean, just how candid he was, man, with his time, and, you know, and all the stuff that we learned. You know, I mean, I came out learning more about Jameis Winston than I knew before that interview. And that's the way I feel like interviews are supposed to be. You leave that interview learning more about the individual and the topic at hand. So I thought it was a really good interview. And if you haven't checked it out, please do. It's available on the State of the Saints podcast. If you are listening, it's available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM, and you can also check it out on YouTube as well, man. It's available on the YouTube channel. TJ, who that? I'm in the house. What's going on, Justin? Shouts out to you, man. Our favorite truck driver. Shouts out to all the truck drivers out there. Right, TJ. You don't know. Yeah. Don't know what a person be going through. TJ, love the guests you've been interviewing. Man, I'm telling you, man, I don't really, man, when I interview Mike Hoss, man, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I grew up watching this guy. And like I said, man, I remember when he was like in the first couple years at WWL, I can just remember being a kid because every morning, my mom used to watch WWL, the morning news before we get ready for school. And I can remember like Mike Hoss being there, Don Westbrook. Some of y'all probably lose with some of these names, but I'm like, man, I can't believe I'm interviewing this guy. I remember like just being a 4 or 5 year old kid, like watching this guy on television. And now he's the voice of the Saints. Like, do y'all understand? Like, we interviewed 2 voices of the Saints. We interviewed Zach Streif, almost a year ago. And now we had Mike Hoss on the show. So if we get Jim Henderson, that'll be a wrap right there, right? You know what I'm saying? Getting Jim Henderson on the show. But I don't know exactly how I can get in touch with Jim, but I would love to have the great Jim Henderson on the show just to talk to him, man. I mean, the stories that he can tell about some of the games he called, my goodness. But hopefully we can get Jim Henderson on the show one day if I can get that information. All right, TJ, you only have an idea of who I am. Yeah. I mean, you don't know who people are online. You know what I'm saying? Like you can't base your opinion on a person on just what they type or what you actually see, because sometimes people can take your opinion, your thoughts and take them out of context, and you find yourself being mad at a person when you shouldn't. Nick said, thank you very much for the 199. Says, how are we going to replace the interior depth inside? Nick, that's a good question, and I appreciate you asking that. I just feel like they're going to get those younger guys. Of course, Shy Tuttle, I feel like he's going to get more snaps. You're probably going to see Malcolm Roach, and they probably get like guys like Peyton Turner, probably get him on the interior, as well as Tano Passanio. I think you're probably going to see more of those guys filling in certain situations. So that's the way I see it. I think that the Saints defensively, they can do some good things. Ryan Nielsen is a really good defensive line coach. And if you go to training camp and you're not seeing what you need to see, there's always a chance where you can go out here and use the little bit of money you have left to probably bring in a veteran guy that can help out. So there's still some guys out there on the street that can come in and give you some results. So Demetrius says those were the days. 100. Yeah. Let me see. Social media has made us forget how to talk and communicate with people. Agree with the girl example. Been there, done that. Yeah. When you used to walk up to that girl, man, and get that phone number, you walk away. You're so excited, man, because you had to build yourself up. You had to build up your confidence to go over there and have that conversation, right? So of course, like, but now it's like, man, I feel bad for these kids, man, because it's not really, man, all this, everybody's a winner, all this, I can talk to her later online, and I mean, come on, man. Like that's not how you build character. You build character through losses. You build, you build character by having these type of conversations. You build up your communication skills based on that, And I'm happy to be a part of, I feel like 80s babies, like we are the last of the Mohegans. Like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like 80s babies on back. I feel like we're like the last of the Mohegans, but I feel like 80s babies, like we really grew up in an area where we seen the transitions of life, and now like we're adults. It's like, we look at it like, man, you know what I'm saying? Like when I was a kid, man, I wouldn't do no stuff like that. Like 80s babies, think about this. we went from the era of putting a quarter in a payphone, right, to actually seeing cell phones, right, to seeing two-way pages when we were like teenagers, right, to text messaging, from Black Planet, right, to Facebook, MySpace, right. So we were like, in the 90s, we had those conversations. We had to go up to the girls, right? Then, you know what I'm saying, we started transitioning to this whole social media world as we became adults. So we really got a taste of, you know what I'm saying, like, and we're able to appreciate the development of technology. And you know what I'm saying, we can kind of know that lane, like, okay, you know what I'm saying, I can go up to this girl. I got confidence enough to walk up to this girl. I ain't gotta go on social media, okay? But if it just so happened, I know I ain't gonna see her again, okay, I can go on social media, but we know we got that confidence to do both. You know, us 80s babies, man, we I say, man, we went, like, if you really think about it, we really went through that transition. You know, and it's pretty cool when you think about it, man. Like the transitions that 80s babies went through. Like we went from like think about this. We knew a time when nobody actually had, you know what I'm saying, like a cell phone, right? To like really seeing everybody have cell phones from, you know, I don't know, man, just different things. Like when no social media, right? When none of that. You know what I'm saying? Like when, you know, I remember everybody had a house phone. Now it looks like nobody has a house phone. Everybody got cell phones, right? So, yeah. Inevitable says, TJ, we all have watched you and your show blossom into what it is. It's easy to root for you. You're a Saint fan and, more importantly, a family man. Inevitable, thank you so much. And, you know, I take a lot of pride in the growth and development of this show. I really do. Because, I mean, I really don't feel like, you know, we sold ourselves short. I just feel like hard work and dedication and consistency built this show into what it was. You know, I mean, honestly, everything that y'all see, it's not like, you know, I got a publicist or image consultant or secretary. It's like everything that I do, I mean, I reach out to individuals. I reach out to them. I ask them to come on the show, and they're nice enough to do it. It's not like, you know what I'm saying, like I envy guys sometimes where they have like certain guests, but they got like people that know people. I don't have that. I don't have that luxury. I don't. You know what I'm saying? I don't have like corporate backing. I don't have like, you know, everything that you know, I've gotten here for the State of the Saints podcast. I had to, you know, reach out to somebody and do the groundwork myself. That's why I have an appreciation for it. You know, so anybody that's saying, "Oh, I need this and that," man, all you need is a made up mind, confidence, and it's okay to hit a word no from time to time. If you can, you know what I'm saying, if you believe in yourself and believe in what you're doing, you'll be just fine. TJ, I used to be an avid listener, watcher of Deuce and a crew, but in the past year, you really became my clear favorite. Love everyone, but your content is the best. Mike, thank you so much. And man, shouts out to them, man. Deuce Wenham does an outstanding job. That guy, I don't know why, you know, he's not a coach somewhere, the way he can break down film. Ross Jackson, one of the nicest human beings on planet Earth, does a really good job himself, deserves everything. You know what I'm saying? He's getting it right now. Maddy does an outstanding job as well. I mean, look, they do a really good job and they work really hard. But I appreciate that. You know, I really do. You know, I love their content. You know, I really do. And you know, all of them, they work really hard. And I have an appreciation for those individuals that do things their way, and they put a lot of work into what they're building. Make it happen. Jim Henderson sounds good. Don't it though? I wish I could, man. But you know, like some of those, I mean this not in a disrespectful way, but some of those like older individuals that do news, they're not on social media like that, you know, and most of the time it's not that person running their social media. They'll probably hire somebody or have a family member control their social media, you know. But I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know how to get in touch with Jim Henderson. I mean, man, trust me, if I could, I would. but I do my due diligence. I'll figure it out. This is the one year that I can say that the Saints have a defense. Yeah, they're gonna need it. I said it. The defense is going to have to be the catalyst this year, because I trust the defense at this particular stage. I think the offense is always going to be what it is, but I'm more confident going into this season, trusting the defense than the offense. As crazy as that sound, on a Sean Payton team, I trust the defense more than offense. Ain't that crazy? Giga just says, do you have a specific video that you keep referring to with L Wood's highlights? Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. I forgot dude's name and was like, damn, Rudy is gonna curse me out. We came from flip phones, man. We came from block phones, okay? Long block phones. I remember when radio phone was out and like everybody thought it was cool to have a a house phone in your car. Beepers, you know what I'm saying? Yep. Like Damian just mentioned, beepers. I'm an 80s baby blowing Nintendo tapes. You ain't lying. You know what I'm saying? You ain't lying. Blowing Nintendo tapes. I remember that. Super Nintendo, playing Tecmo Bowl, I was born 12/31/89. I remember all that growing up in the 90s. Yeah. Like I said, 80s babies, man, we seen that transition from, being, more, technical based, society, but we also know what it was like without having like all those resources, These dudes now want to jump in everybody's DMs. Yeah, man, that's I ain't feeling that. Have some confidence, man. TJ, remember the Jerry Curl and flat top haircuts with Will Smith and Jazzy Jeff? Yeah, I remember that. Used to get that flat top, get that S curl in your head, man, and had that one pack of activator. You know what I'm saying? Y'all remember that? Had the one pack of activator because you couldn't afford like to get the box of S curl and the activator. So you used to be, shoot, you go to school, have to wet your hair over and over and over again. Like, yeah, I remember them days, man. I remember them days. Let's see. Gigatis says, you good? TJ, slow down on the waist and protein. That t-shirt is screaming for hell. Yeah, man, we getting it in, man. We getting it in at the gym, man. I told y'all, man. Trying to get right. We're going to do a few more, and then we're going to get up out of here, man. Let's see. TJ, blowing in them second takes was a full-time job. Damn near gave you ass for yeah, like, man, for real. Blowing it. You know what I'm saying? Hitting that thing, be mad because the game go out in the middle of it. This was before memory cards, right? You lose your spot in Tecmo Bowl on Nintendo. You running, you make it all the way to the Super Bowl, and all of a sudden, the game go out on you. Man, you be mad, like, no. You know what I'm saying? You work all day, 2-3 hours in order for you to get to the Super Bowl, and all of a sudden the game go out on you. My goodness. My freaking goodness. Remember having to slap the hell out of your TV when it started to get fuzzy? Yeah, I remember that too. I remember like when the TV started to get old, it had that one little line on that thing. You had to tap it on the side of it for the screen to pop back up. Yeah. Some of y'all, I'm like, man, what are they talking about, right? Remember VHS tapes? Come on, man. When I act up, my mom would go get that wooden spoon off the wall. I think everybody had that wooden spoon. Everybody. I'm a 70s baby. I go way back to Atari and watching the debut of the Thriller video. Yeah, back in 83. Yeah, man. They said people went to the movie theater to watch that video. TJ, what are your top 5 must-dos for the offense and the defense? Top 5 for the offense. You got to have good quarterback play. That's number 1. Number 2, you got to get like these younger guys more involved. Number 3, you got to take what the defense gives you. Number 4, put more emphasis on the running game with Alvin Kamara and Latavius Murray. And number 5, most of all, you got to get a little bit more creative. Okay, I don't want to see if Taysom is coming out there. I want to just see him in RPO situations. Like, spread that ball out. Defensively, must do's. They definitely have to fix the interior alignment for the first 6 games without Devon Yamada. They want to keep that streak going, really not allowing a lot of 100-yard rushes. First time in 2 years was against Philadelphia. You want to keep that going. Number 2, you want to make sure that you get a good linebacker opposite of Demario Davis. Demario Davis is a guy, if you have an athletic linebacker, he can wreak havoc because he can play free. Third would be the secondary. Got to find out who that number 2 cornerback is going to be. Is it on your team right now, or do you need to go out there, possibly make a trade or get somebody in free agency? Also, you have to see what Marshawn Lattimore is a suspension coming down. Is what's going to happen with that? And finally, most importantly, you got to start strong. The Saints are a really good second half team. I feel like too many times they put the team, they set the team back, in games. Okay, they make games more exciting than what they have to be. And I get it from a fan standpoint. You want the game to be exciting, but every now and then I would like to see a boring Saints game where they just impose their will. I mean, I would love to see that, like where they just impose their will. And I just feel like the defense just needs to start faster, come out there flying around early in games instead of waiting for the second half to make adjustments. The Saints are a really good second half team, but sometimes I feel like they take that for granted. Dad Christopher says, running at the park in 2010 with my CD player and the long cord in my way. Yeah. I remember being excited when they made the CD players anti-skip, because if you get a cheap CD player, you had to hold that thing just right, because every little thing you do, it was skip and skip and skip, right? So when they had like the anti-skip CD player, you tapping it, you just so excited because look, it ain't stopping. Yeah, so I remember them days, man. I remember that. I remember them CD players. Remember when CD players was over $100, right? I'm pretty sure I'm losing a lot of these younger viewers right now. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, man. Yeah. TJ, they did indeed go to the theater to see Thriller. Yeah. I mean, I'm a little bit of a historian, man. I love history. If y'all have not found that out about me, I was a history major before I changed it to communication. And I love history, man. And my wife jokes around with me. She's always talking about, like, I just watch a lot of documentaries. I'm just fascinated by that. You know what I'm saying? Learning about a person's life, and you ended up, you end up learning about that person. I just like documentaries. I like history, period. This is a good one. Mixtapes. Yeah, I remember LimeWire, Morpheus. Y'all remember you used to burn songs and then transfer them to your computer and make a mixtape. That girl you used to like, you make a mixtape, right? All them songs. Every song on here, I want you to think about me. You know what I'm saying? Or you can make some money. Like if you end up like learning how to do LimeWire, like somebody come up with a list, or these the songs I want on here. And you know what I'm saying? Somebody pay you like $5-10 to make them a CD. Yeah. Those are some good times right there. But this has been the State of the Saints podcast. Really do appreciate it, man. And I want to once again thank Maddy Hudak for being a part of the State of the Saints podcast. If you just so happen to tune in a little bit late, you can go ahead and check out the beginning of this podcast, and you can hear the interview with Maddy. She's talking a little bit about the New Orleans Saints. Appreciate her being here, and also thank each and every one of you for being a part of the State of the Saints podcast, making the show what it is. Be sure that you subscribe to the YouTube channel, and before you go ahead and feel free to give your boy a golden thumbs up. Let everybody know that you enjoy the State of the Saints podcast. Previous episodes available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor FM. And enjoy the rest of your morning, noon, night, whenever you're checking out this podcast. And like always, all I got to say is, Hudak.